Sequels just didn't do it for fans and critics alike. But I'd like to share with you some insight about the trilogy that'll probably make the whole thing clearer. So yeah, obviously, spoilers ahead. Let me just start off with a bombshell. Neo's a machine. Not a human, but an AI cultivated in a human body. So, I guess a cyborg, an android? Is there even a word for it? Whatever, it doesn't matter. The real kicker is that the machines created him in the first place. Okay, let's break it down. Just like we see Agent Smith possessing Bane, one of the ship's crew members, in the Matrix Revolutions, Neo is placed into someone's body while that vessel of sorts is still hibernating. And when Morpheus wakes him up with the iconic red pill, the algorithm of the One starts ticking. Why would the machines even want that, you ask? Fair enough question. Well, the Matrix we see in the movies isn't the first, but in fact the sixth cycle. The architect even tells Neo that in The Matrix Reloaded. And all the previous cycles had their own One, like Neo, who rebooted the system to stabilize it. Each cycle took about 100 years until the Matrix started to become unstable and required the One to reload it. But the thing is, the machines probably could have made it all a lot easier for themselves by creating an AI that would simply follow their orders. Instead, they created the One, who, like everyone else in the Matrix, has a choice. So, in each cycle, he can actually choose not to reboot the Matrix, but destroy it. Neo, by the way, chooses exactly that, although he still has to go to the source in the end and negotiate with the machines. So much for free will, but whatever. The whole point with the One is that the machines actually need him to be free. The human revolution that's been orchestrated in Zion consists of those who rejected the Matrix and took the red pill. The machines, on the other hand, wanted to create a perfect system that would hold its inhabitants inside against all odds. They couldn't understand the logic of rejecting the Matrix, so they needed their agent to explore the possibilities. And that agent is the One. To fully understand other humans, Neo couldn't wake up to realize he wasn't human, so the machines made him believe that he actually was one. He can choose what to do, he has free will, human feelings and emotions, and all that jazz. The full package, basically. Yet there's one extra part inside him that the machines need him to deliver, and that's the Prime Program. Yeah, the thing that allows him to reboot the Matrix, that's right. So here he is, living his life like a human, but being essentially a machine without even knowing it. What's next? Well, he explores the human world. Having a human conscience, Neo makes friends, falls in love, and creates all kinds of bonds with other people. In the meantime, the machines are keeping track of all this and collecting data. Like I said, they couldn't understand the logic of some people's actions, so they observed Neo and waited for him to come to the source to reload the Matrix. Once he did that, they'd be able to extract all the info from him and finally understand what the heck these humans were all about. That turned out to be easier said than done, though. When Neo finally came to the architect, he chose a different path, which basically led to the destruction of the Matrix and all its inhabitants, human and program alike. But the story was far from over, with Agent Smith assuming a major role in the events. I'll get back to that here in a minute, but first, there's still the question of what's so special about Neo as the One. Come on, there had been 5 Ones just like him in the previous cycles. What could possibly make him stand out from the crowd? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Neo isn't different from his predecessors at all. They had had the same set of features built into them, and although they could be different as humans, they'd all essentially been similar to each other. After each reboot, the machines would adjust the Matrix so that it seemed more appealing to people, but there were still flaws in the system they just couldn't bypass. And then Neo appeared. Cue epic music. The only thing that makes him different is actually the choice he makes. First, he decides not to reboot the Matrix when the machines demand it from him. Next, he goes completely haywire and wages war against the machines. And finally, he finds an unconventional solution to the problem. Once again, it's a thing that the machines couldn't comprehend. Humans must have looked completely irrational to them. And yeah, some of us definitely are. This all brings us back to the issue of Agent Smith. Remember I told you he played a major role in the events? Well, the fact is that he had done so in all the other Matrix cycles too. The Oracle gave the Matrix's inhabitants freedom of choice, and those included both humans in their cozy little pods and programs, hiding from the machines or put there specifically by them. Agent Smith is one of such programs, and his purpose is, initially, to watch over humans and rogue AI. Ironically, because of his own free will, he becomes a rogue himself, turning into something like a virus, and that threatens the Matrix more than anything. So the Architect demands that Neo go to the Source and reboot the Matrix because he's afraid of what will happen if Neo doesn't oblige. But the One screws everything up by doing his Superman thing and rescuing Trinity, meanwhile merrily sealing the fate of humankind. Or so it seems, of course. Agent Smith is a real threat not only to the Matrix, but to the real world too. And there's that trick with Bane I mentioned earlier. Neo wants to get rid of him, the humans want him out of their hair, and bodies literally, and the machines really want to annihilate him. Not a very popular guy, that Agent Smith. Anyway, the big deal is that Neo makes a unique choice that's never been made before him. He chooses to fight the virus himself instead of just destroying everything and building a new one in the 7th cycle. It doesn't come without a price, of course, so Neo demands peace between the humans and the machines in return for his sacrifice. Quickly catching the drift, the machines agree. I mean, what would you rather do if you had a virus? Reinstall the whole operating system or try to catch the culprit? Let me know down below. Anyway, there's one more tasty tidbit that I haven't covered yet. You see, there are lots, and I mean lots of hints and symbolism throughout the whole trilogy that lead us to certain conclusions and make us think. And yes, there are all kinds of clues that Neo is a machine-made human-machine hybrid. We really don't see it in the first movie. Neo is simply a savior of humankind, a beacon of hope. It's in The Matrix Reloaded, where viewers first start getting hints thrown at them that he might not exactly be human. When Neo meets the Architect, it becomes pretty clear that he has something inserted in his code that couldn't have been put there by a human being. And finally, in The Matrix Revolutions, Neo recognizes his purpose and paradoxically sees the way when he literally loses both of his eyes. He can see the machines even without his sight, and he can actually control them. No mere human could have done that, especially outside the Matrix. This is the real world, guys. It obeys the law of physics, not a computer code. But Neo does it all, and he does it in style. In the end, the Sixth One accomplishes several